Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Thank you so much for joining me. Before I get started, I have to just give a huge heartfelt thank you to everybody who watched my last video. If you haven't, I'll leave a card up here in the top corner. But wow, it was amazing. You know, when I put that video together, I didn't expect many to even watch it because it's on my reaction channel. And it wasn't a reaction, and typically those don't get a lot of traction, but good grief. I think over 34,000 views, over 600 comments. The vast majority were very warm and welcoming and positive comments. So thank you so much for tuning into that video. Again, if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. And to those who left comments that had me shaking my head a little bit, I want to thank you as well, because you watched the video, you commented, added to the algorithm and the popularity of the video. So thank you very much, even though some of those comments were pretty bad. But we won't get into that. We're keeping this positive. And so I just wanted to say thank you. And like in that previous video, I explained that I would be documenting as much as I could about our move to Germany. And this video is kind of that first step. I thought this video we would discuss kind of an overall plan of attack, if you will, for us to move. And if you're thinking of moving from the United States to Germany or wherever, please understand that our situation is different than a lot of people's. And this is by no means a legal video. Do not take anything I say as the gospel truth. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not responsible for your poor decisions, but hopefully this overview, which is what this video will be about, more of an outline of the steps that we have taken, are taking, and will take in order for us to move from the United States to Germany. I won't get into too many specifics on each item. I will save the gritty details for individual videos if I feel like a video is necessary. I guess the first and the most important question to ask yourself when you are thinking about moving anywhere, but especially, halfway around the world. And that one question is why? Why are you wanting to move? Why do you want to leave the place you're in and go somewhere new? For us, it was pretty simple. Family. Now, on my last video, some people apparently didn't watch the video because they kept asking, why Germany? Why not somewhere better? Why am I choosing a country whose economy is slipping, who, whatever. I can't state it clearly enough. My wife is German. She is a German citizen. She is not a U.S. citizen. Her entire family lives in Germany. That is why. I can't get any more clear than that, people. I didn't pick it off a map. We didn't spin a globe, stick our finger out, and pick Germany. That's where she's from. So we're going back home. So for us, the why was pretty simple. For the 28 years that we've been together, we've lived in Germany together 4 of those years. The entire rest of the time has been here in the United States. So it is time for us to go back and be with her family. I know a lot of people think that, sorry, I'm out of breath carrying a tripod. A lot of people think that our reasoning aligns with the political setting that is happening here in the U.S., and that is not the case at all. Yes, it did make the choice a lot easier, but no, it had nothing to do with politics. It doesn't matter who would be in charge of the United States. Could have been the best person ever. we would still be moving. So our why is going to be different from your why. And you need to figure that out. You need to be honest with yourself. Why do you want to move? Is it for political reasons? Is it for religious reasons? Is it because you have family somewhere else? Is it because you're just tired of where you are and you want to try something new? Really think about the why. Now, if you're just looking for greener pastures, I don't recommend uprooting everything and moving halfway around the world. It probably won't work out. What I do recommend is visiting that place that you may want to move to. Visit it a few times, stay a few weeks, a month, but don't be there as a tourist. Think of yourself as a citizen of that country, of that city. Go shopping, go to the gas station, go downtown, go to the countryside, talk to locals, see what they think about where they live. Because I guarantee you, if it's in Germany, you're going to get a truthful answer. They aren't going to sugarcoat anything. So make sure you're not going just because it sounds exciting. Yes, it will be exciting. There is going to be a period, the honeymoon period, the honeymoon phase, where everything's new and exciting. But picture yourself living every single day there, working, paying taxes, buying groceries, dealing with traffic, dealing with people, dealing with the language barrier if there is any. Really sit down and be honest with yourself, because if you're not, it could be a disaster. Okay, so the second thing that you really need to consider is, or pay attention to, and this is more specifically toward those who have a significant other. So if you're moving as a couple or as a family, this would pertain to you. If you're single, moving on your own, to a lesser degree, this is important, but that is communication. You have to communicate with your significant other, with your children, with parents, friends, whoever, but very important you talk about the move, why you want to move, the logistics behind the move with your significant other. My wife and I, we didn't sit down per se and discuss everything that we should have discussed. So we both had our own plan, but the other person didn't fully understand what that plan was, if that makes sense. So it's very important to communicate with each other to make sure you're both on the same page when it comes to, moving to a different place. The last thing you want is to think of one thing and the other person is thinking something different. So for us, it came down to taking a walk a couple years ago in Germany, because I felt like we were on two separate pages. That, there were times where I didn't feel like, let me take this down. I didn't feel like at times that she was really excited about moving back to Germany, where I was super excited about moving back. And that wasn't the case at all. She just had a lot of reservations, a lot of fears, a lot of questions, and rightly so. I don't blame her one bit. But it took us going for a walk and talking and me just laying it out there. What do you want? Like, bottom line, are we moving to Germany? Are we not moving to Germany? What do you want? And she really did want to move back, but she had a lot of questions, a lot of fears about what that looked like. And so once that was out there in the open, then we could dial down and start looking at these individual fears and reservations. And in the end, it wasn't that bad. Yes, there's going to be fear. There's going to be questions. You're going to think you're doing the wrong thing. But if you take each one individually and look at it microscopically, you'll realize that it's really not as bad as you think. Yes, it is difficult. It is not easy to move across the street, let alone halfway around the world to a completely different country with a different culture, a different language, different laws. It's difficult. It's never going to be easy. But don't let that deter you from actually doing it. So once we started talking about, okay, this is what we want. This is how we're going to do it. We are going with two pets, a rabbit and a dog. And I'll get into this more later, but that compounds the issues. So whatever your situation is, just communicate it. Now, if you're moving as a single person, you'll still want to communicate with friends and family about your plans, what they think. Maybe they can think of something that you haven't thought of yet. That's the other benefit of bouncing ideas back and forth, that my wife has thought of something that I didn't consider. I'm like, oh, yeah, we might want to think about that, or vice versa. Communication is key in life, but it's really key when you want to move to a foreign country. And the next very important thing you need to do is, here it comes, pick a date. That was, I think, the biggest issue between my wife and I, not understanding each other, or, one person thinking one thing and the other person thinking the other thing, was that it was kind of a running joke that we told everybody in a couple years. They would ask, you want to move to Germany, when are you going to move? In a couple years, in a couple years. And we've been saying that for 10 years. And that was getting extremely frustrating for me, because I knew I wanted to move and I wanted to move soon. But when people would ask my wife, her go-to answer was in a couple years. And so on this walk that we took, I told her, we have to set a date. If we don't set a hard date, this is never going to happen. We're going to say in a couple years, and it's going to be 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and we still haven't moved. We have to put this date on the calendar. Not only that, we have to tell everybody this is the date. That holds us accountable. That holds us to making sure we start preparing, because we told everybody we were moving on this date. Now, you don't have to have the exact date, but at least have the month. I'm moving the beginning of April, let's say, of 2025. Have a date. For us, it was, I told her, I want to be in Germany settled by your next birthday, or by your, I don't want to tell you how old my wife is, but this was a couple years ago, and I told her a specific birthday, a number, and I said, I want to be in Germany by that birthday. That's in 2 years, maybe a little over 2 years. That's the date. And so I put it on the calendar. I put June. Her birthday is in August, and I put June or July as, I can't remember which, but as the cutoff date. We are moving then. That way, we had something on the calendar. We had something to look forward to. I think that's really important as well. If you have a date that's in the future sometime, you have nothing to look forward to, because you don't feel like it's ever getting closer. You don't feel like you're ever gaining on that date. But if you have a set date, you can start marking days off the calendar. We have this many days. We have this many months or weeks, down to days. That also pushes you to start preparing. Now, being prior military, we did planning in reverse, backwards planning. We have a date. This is what we need to do to prepare before we leave. Okay, let's start working backwards from that date. How long does it take to do this step? Well, we need to start at least at this date so that we have time to finish that before our move date. Like I said, we have pets. That's huge. They need international health certificates. They need all their vaccines. They need we need to make sure that they're okay in Germany. We need to make sure that airlines are able to take them. That was a huge one for us. Now, on top of that, health certificates, if you didn't know, for animals are only good for 10 days. You can get a health certificate for your animal, but it pretty much expires, moving internationally to Germany anyway, in 10 days. If we're not in country within that 10 days, it doesn't work. We got to do it again. Now, I don't know if that means they would just be quarantined once they got to Germany, or if they just wouldn't be allowed to go. We aren't going to get to that point because we have a date. We could work back. Okay, we need to leave Arizona by this date. We're going to Wyoming for a few days, so we need to add that in there, and then we're going to fly. I think we get there on the 9th day of this health certificate, so we'll have 1 day to spare just in case. But those are things that you may not realize, but are extremely important. So set a date. It holds everybody accountable, and you have something to look forward to. All right. Now, the next thing to consider is where you're moving. Now, research the area, whether that be online, in person. It's better if it's in person, obviously. But go there a few times, research the area, figure out where it is you want to go, possibly what area you want to live in, but make sure you understand where it is you're moving. For us, it's pretty simple. I've lived in Germany for 5 years. We've been back and forth numerous times, so we have an area where we want to go. Now, granted, this will also depend on whether or not you're moving. I don't like these large holes in the ground, and something creepy is going to crawl out of them. Whether or not you're moving with a job or not, because you may not have much of a choice if you're moving with a company, because you're going to have to move where they send you to that place. But you can still research neighborhoods where you might want to live, things like that. For us, if I was moving with the company I work with, we wouldn't be able to move anywhere near my wife's family because there's just no ports there. There's no major logistics hubs in that area. It would most likely be up north, which was fine with us. Somewhere new, somewhere, we haven't lived. But since I'm not moving with that company, then put you down. Then we can choose where we want to go. And so we're moving to the state of Rhineland-Pfalz, southwest Germany. If you don't know, we'll be about 15 minutes from Ramstein Air Force Base, 30 minutes from Kaiserslautern, which is our favorite city, favorite football team. And so we're super excited. It's in the forest, a lot of trees. It's really green. It's really quiet. My wife's hometown has maybe 500 people. I don't know that we'll be able to find a house in her hometown, but there's numerous small towns, surrounding that area that are just a few minutes away. So that's not going to be an issue. So for us, the research portion was pretty easy. We knew where we were going. Now, if you don't have family there and you haven't lived there, then you really need to make sure that you do your research. Like I said, go book a couple weeks, travel the area, go see where there is, what there is to do, restaurants, entertainment, whatever interests you. Make sure you're choosing somewhere that's going to fulfill those needs and wants of excitement and entertainment and activities. If you have kids, is the neighborhood safe? Are there parks nearby? How's the schools? All things you have to consider. So research is very important as well. All right, so another major decision you're going to have to make is what to pack, what to ship, what you're taking with you, and what you're going to leave behind, donate, sell, etc. For us, we didn't want to take any furniture. We were going to save some money by not having to ship any of our furniture, because let's be honest, a lot of it's pretty old. We can get new stuff, but it comes down to a cost comparison. Now, it might be cheaper for us to ship everything instead of buying everything new once we get over there, but you know, to be honest, at some point we're going to want new stuff anyway. So why spend all that extra money on shipping? We had a massive fire here. This was not like this the last time I was here. See that? So, yeah, shipping your stuff. We were quoted the first time about $8,000, and that was for this company's smallest container, which I believe was a 20-foot container. Now, granted, at that time, I was planning on taking my motorcycle, which, unfortunately, I just sold yesterday, so it's not coming with me. Footage of it driving away inserted now. So we decided, let's not take any furniture. We're not taking any furniture. We're just gonna take, you know, household goods, clothes, obviously, books, pictures, things you cannot replace. Dishes, the only dishes we're taking are the handmade stuff, because both my parents and my aunt are potters. So and a friend of mine, old instructor at the college, we have a lot of their handmade goods. So we're taking those because my dad doesn't do it anymore. My mom really doesn't do it anymore. My aunt doesn't do it anymore. So these are irreplaceable. So we're gonna take those. But the IKEA plates and bowls, guess what, people? There's an IKEA right down the road from where we're gonna be. So we can just buy new stuff. And then this gives us a chance, which I feel like is extremely important. It gives us a chance to reset, to reevaluate our life, and to decide what we really need and what we don't need. I feel like there's a lot of times we get into this rut where we just start buying stuff without thinking about it. And then years down the road, you're like, oh, I don't even use this, you know? So this will give us that opportunity to really think about it and decide, okay, let's just get what we need. Yes, you're gonna get some things that you want here and there, but it's a good reset button, I believe. So you need to decide what you're taking and what you're leaving behind. We had 5 yard sales. We've gone to Goodwill probably at least a dozen times, and we still have more to take. We're getting rid of all our furniture. So our container is 400 cubic feet, which is not much. I think the total weight allowed is 2,500 pounds. Again, that's just over a ton. That is not a lot, considering, you know, how much stuff we have, which is why we really had to sit down and say, do we need this? No. So those are things that you need to consider whether or not you're going to keep and ship or just sell them here and buy once you get over there. For us, it made more sense just to take as little as possible. That way we can start fresh, get what we want, get what we need, and not have a bunch of crap that's just not gonna work. All right, so the next item on the list is the logistics and legal stuff. So movers, international movers, you're gonna have to contact a company. I recommend contacting a few companies, get different quotes, what they can and can't do. So for us, we went with the company, and they are going to come. They pack all the stuff for us. They will ship it, and they will unpack it for us. That's very important. I know with international movers, it might be a little different than just moving, you know, across the city or whatever. But if they don't actually physically pack the boxes and something gets broke, it's on you. So if you want them to be insured properly, then they pack everything, which is fine with me. If I don't have to pack any boxes, I'm a happy camper. Now, we are going to have some tubs and things that have stuff in them already. The movers will go through it, not with a fine-tooth comb or anything, but just verify what's in the box so, you're not sending any illegal items or, hazardous items, things like that. But they will also make sure it's packed so things don't get broke. So contact the movers as soon as you can, because a lot of times, especially in the busy season of moving, they could be booked out months. Luckily for us, April wasn't that busy of a time. I gave them a date of April 28th, but things shifted some. So I actually bumped that up 10 days. So now that they are arriving on the 18th. But as soon as I knew when the house sold and closing was and everything like that, as soon as I knew that, I reached out to them and said, hey, can we move this up a week? Because we're going to be gone. And thankfully, there was no big deal. They moved it up. They'll contact me when the movers are on the way, and then they can get to work. So with that, I just mentioned selling the house. Now, if you have a house that you are going to sell, this is the most stressful part of the whole thing, because our timeline really came down to when the house would sell. And, sometimes they sell quick, and sometimes it could take months and months for a house to sell. And that was scary for us because we wanted to get out as soon as possible, but we knew we were kind of tied down by whenever the house would sell. Now, we were very lucky. We're going to make a nice profit because we bought when things were low and things are on the rise now. Luckily, interests aren't crazy anymore, so it's, you can sell a house. We were told average market time was 30 to 45 days, and that kind of scared me a little bit because that just seemed like a really long time. I did not want to wait 45 days for the house to sell, but what do? We tried to make it as sellable as possible. We had all these yard sales and Goodwill trips ahead of time to clean out the house so it wasn't so cluttered. We put it on the market right at that sweet spot of selling based on our square footage. We had a leg up a little bit because for most homes our size, they're only 3-bedroom, but ours is a 4-bedroom. So we were hoping that would kind of entice buyers to want our house. And we started having showings. And I tell you what, that is stressful because at any moment you could be told, hey, somebody wants to look at your house. You got to pack up and get out. Now, luckily for us, it wasn't like a last minute thing. We had one kind of last minute showing on a Saturday morning. But most of them we had a 24-hour notice or, at least half a day notice. But having 2 animals meant we would take the dog with us, but the rabbit we'd have to put in her cage, put her outside because they recommend not having any signs of animals in the house for whatever reason. Beats me. Maybe allergies, I don't know. But so we did that. We had approximately 14 showings total in 2 weeks. And it was the people on the 10th showing that decided they wanted to put in an offer. It was quick. I didn't expect it to be just 2 weeks. I was thinking probably about a month. Nope, they put in a full price offer. Granted, they asked a lot in concessions, but we're like, all right, let's do it. And it was the person that did the last minute showing on that Saturday morning. So if you're in the same situation, do not turn down any showings. You never know. It might be that one that wants your house. Now, there was a Friday where I reached out to our realtor and said, no showings today. We need a break. The animals are freaking out. and we are all just exhausted. So please don't schedule anything for Friday. Easy enough. Saturday morning, my wife said, we just got a notice. They want to be here at 10:30. Let's do it. And they were the ones that bought the house. So if you don't have a house you're selling, then you really don't need to worry about that. But you do need to worry, if you're renting and you're under contract, you need to worry about when that contract ends or what kind of fees they are going to impose if you break contract early. That all adds up in the total price of moving. So keep those in mind. But the legal stuff and the logistics stuff is another very important step when you're considering about moving across the country or across the world. Okay, so this next section, moving on, will not be for everybody. I mentioned that we have 2 pets, a little Chihuahua and a Holland Lop rabbit. If we didn't have pets, this move would have been so much smoother. But like I mentioned earlier, health certificates, vaccines, vet appointments, paperwork, making sure airlines will take your animal. You need to do all that work. Punk. Who you calling punk? Okay, so on the same topic of vets and health and all of that, don't forget about your own health. You need to make any last minute doctor's appointments, eye appointments, dental appointments, anything like that, and make sure everything is good to go. And then also make sure you get all copies of your medical records. Now, some places you can do that online, like my eye doctor. I just signed up for their portal. And so once I get to Germany, I can just log in, download what I need. I haven't had any eye surgeries or anything like that, so it's mostly just for my prescription. But I can do that online, so I don't have to carry actual paperwork. I have my medical records from the VA because I've had extensive work done through the VA. As many of you know, my brain surgery a year ago, I've had 2 back surgeries, I've had an appendectomy, I've had hernia surgery. So I have copies of all those medical records, plus when I was in the service. And a lot of that I can also get online as I need it, but you need to make sure you have all your medical records, if not in hand, paper copy, a paper copy. Make sure you know how to access it online. Along with all of that, we'll just stay on the topic of important paperwork. You need any birth certificates, marriage certificates, divorce certificates, anything that's a legal document. Make sure you have physical copies, and also a good idea to have downloadable digital copies in case you need to print more off. Everybody's birth certificates, goes without saying, you need your passports. Make sure the date is good. Make sure it's out far enough that once you get over there, you don't have to worry about it expiring and you have to come back home. I bought a travel briefcase type deal that I'm going to hand carry. It'll probably go in my suitcase because it's freaking heavy, but I will take them with us so that they don't get lost. But I will hand carry all of that, the medical records and all the important legal documents that we need. So make sure you have all your paperwork in order, physical copies as well as digital copies. I guess this is where people go to target practice. All right, so it's getting warm out here. Don't like my camera sitting out in the heat very long. So one last item and then some final thoughts. Make sure you go through all your subscriptions and things like that and unsubscribe from Hulu, Netflix, whatever you need to, or anything that pertains to your home country only. Granted, I mean, we could probably cancel all of ours and then just resubscribe once we get a TV and things like that. So make sure you go through. There might be some that you're not even thinking about, so it's a good idea to make a list, go through everything you possibly can. This includes any phone services, cell phone services. We go through T-Mobile here, which I know they have in Germany. So we're going to keep T-Mobile. But once we get over there, we'll get a new SIM card from Germany. And then we'll look at other companies because T-Mobile may not be the best option for us where we're going to live. So think about all of that. If you are not shipping any vehicles, you need to start thinking about getting rid of them. Like I said, I just got rid of my motorcycle yesterday and it hurt my heart. It hurt. But I know I'm going to get another one that's more practical once we get to Germany. But we are selling both our cars. Our situation is this. Neither one of us are from Arizona. We don't have family here. We have friends. Well, my brother's here, but like my parents aren't here or anything like that. So I'm going to be selling my car. My last day of work is April 11th, so this coming Friday. Can't wait. After that, we have a week, and then the movers are here. And then the beginning of the following week is close, and that's when we leave. So I will be selling my car sometime after the 11th because we won't need two cars if I don't have a job. If I need a car, I could take my wife to work because she is going to be working that last week. And then I could go do whatever I need to do and pick her up. But getting rid of that, we're keeping her car. Odd noises going on. We're keeping her car because we are driving from Arizona back to Wyoming to spend a few days with family and friends up there. So instead of selling both vehicles and then needing to rent a car, we're just going to take her car. We had to buy a rooftopper luggage bag thing because 4 people, a dog, and all of our luggage is not going to fit in the back of a Chevy Equinox. So we'll pack it up, we'll drive up to Wyoming, and then at that point, hopefully I can get the title to it and then just sign it over to my parents or something, and then they can sell it. They can keep the money because that would help toward plane tickets for them to come visit. So that's kind of our plan of action. That's kind of an outline of everything. I know I kind of went more in depth than I had planned on a few of these. If you have any questions specifically about any of these, please reach out and I can start gearing other videos toward those specific questions. Like I said, I will be documenting the rest of the move. I'm putting together a spreadsheet with the total cost, and I will be obviously documenting once we get over there. I'm excited for this new chapter of our life. I can't believe it's actually happening because we've been talking about this for so long, and now the time has come. We basically have just 2.5 weeks. We have 3 weeks in the United States. And now that I say that out loud, it really starts to hit home. We will be landing in Germany on April 29th. That is crazy. So I hope you got something out of this video. I know it was a lot, but if you take it piece by piece, step by step, make lists of lists, and check it off so you don't forget anything. I promise it won't be as bad as you think it is in your head because you start thinking of all these things. Just write them all down, get them out there. That way you can check them off. You can see your progress. It is difficult. It is not easy, but it is so worth it for your health, for your well-being, for your mental state. Whatever you got to do, just stay safe and be happy. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.